Never ever summon for a red powerful opponent in Dragon Ball Legends. This is immediately signing away your Chrono Crystals
into a death trap.
There's no benefits that will come out of this, trust me. Right, so that was a bit of an exaggeration, but there is always impending doom for red powerful opponents, and we're going to dive into Dragon Ball Legends history in this video. But we're not going to work forwards from the past, we're going to work backwards from the present. If there's any in Dragon Ball Legends history that I missed out, because I mainly have 3 for this video, let me know in the comment section below, but this is crazy. Let's get into this. So currently, and the main cause of this video is because of Ultra Perfect Cell. Ultra Perfect Cell dropping right after the Future campaign, also him being Future, but his main cause of drop was because of the Cell Saga campaign where we got Ultra Perfect Cell and Instant Transmission Goku. Now what's good to know is that red works very well with purple. The Instant Transmission Goku being purple gets protected by the red, which is Ultra Perfect Cell. So at that time, it was working perfectly. You have these 2 units that can work together very well. And of course, we also have Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, who dropped in 2024, the previous year's first Ultra. They're both Cell Saga units, and they both have the anti-blast. They're both range type. Also, red works well with green because green protects red from blues. So naturally, these 3 units were meant to work together and be powerful. But I think the most surprising thing, slightly off topic, is that Ultra Gohan survived for a whole year and is still good enough to be used with these newer units. Anyways, everybody saw Ultra Cell as the best unit in the game. If you didn't, then I don't know, maybe you're slightly stuck in the past, but he was clearly the most oppressive force, especially if you run him on androids or Future mainly. Cell Saga, it wasn't buffed up like other tags we've seen, namely Majin Buu Saga, but it was good enough to be run. But nobody was really waiting around for a Cell Saga campaign. Let's call a spade a spade. It just is what it is. But if you do summon for everything, or this in particular was to your liking, then you could build a good Cell Saga team and get a lot out of it. Well, in 2025, this year, we know the big thing. If it's not going to be Universe Rep because of Ultra MUI, it's Dragon Ball Daima. Dragon Ball Daima ended, I believe, last month, a couple weeks ago. And because of that, everybody's just waiting for these new characters that we saw in Dragon Ball Daima. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, who we got, but everybody thought we'd get the mini version, and then the mini version for Goku. So Super Saiyan 3 Goku as a mini, and then of course Super Saiyan 4 Goku as mini. But we got none of those besides the Vegeta adult, which is quite insane still. We then end up getting the blue unit, the Terrorizer. It might be too early to call it that at the time I'm making this video, but we know he's the missing piece to make it a top 1 team in the game. Majin Buu as well, but we're here to talk about the blue. Every single time, and this is the theme of the video, a powerful opponent that is red drops, a blue unit is going to come out soon, a popular one at that too, so they're going to be Sun family oriented that will take out this red powerful opponent. And in this case, we got Super Saiyan 4 Goku as an adult. This unit here is crazy, and I think in a 1v1, he's absolutely unstoppable. The way he removes your vanish, locks you in, and he gets a free ultimate. It's a free attack. Unless you have something to get your vanish back instantly, or the person using 4Q hesitates, maybe because of a rising rush, it's a free ultimate coming out of him. Now, I'm not gonna say that Ultra Cell has gotten completely countered. He's still a very good unit, but damn, imagine thinking you're gonna have months of enjoyment with your Ultra Cell, the unit you spent so many Chrono Crystals on, just for them to get hard countered by another unit that's basically top 1 off rip. That's kind of crazy. It's like they gave you a solution to all the problems in the meta, then they were like, we kind of want to take out that solution. So then they drop something more crazy. And even then, I will say they've done a good job with 4Q, not like they have in the past, because with this 4Q, he's somewhat balanced because he's restricted to the tag Dragon Ball Daima that doesn't have a lot of options in the first place. It's quite a strict team, and if you don't run him on Daima, you won't get the indestructible, so he doesn't become the full package that you need him to be, even though a lot of teams have that survivability factor, so him specifically doesn't need to be that for your team. But poor Ultra Cell, man, not even a month and you get countered like this. Damn. And let's also point out that the Daima team in itself has amazing survivability, so not in terms of like endurance, comeback, succession, anything like that. Simply the healing aspect and the combo breaking is good enough. They heal so much. Their defenses are good. They have 2 HP buffers, and it could be 3 depending on what other character you're going to use. For example, if you're using Goku Mini, a lot of people like to run the Kakarot Goku. So now you've got Glorio, Goku, and the Kakarot Goku. 3 HP buffers. Then they have good HP equips, health restore, all in their kits. It's crazy how this team doesn't die, especially if they're high starred. Easily top 1 potential team in the game just because it is one menacing blue. Feels bad, man. That's tough. Previously, before that, in 2024, we had the Legends Limited Super 17. Now, this is one of the most powerful units we've ever got as an individual in Dragon Ball Legends. Didn't last the longest, but his highest peak is something we've never seen before, to the point where I always say, because it actually was the case, people were calling him the 1940s dictator, and you guys know who I'm talking about. And that's around the likes of Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Golden Frieza, and GT being brought up. People weren't even running him on GT, and he was still that. So it says a lot about his potential at that time. He doesn't do much, just blast damage. He's gonna stop you from using strikes and blues, and then he'll pop a green card now and then and get a free combo. That's literally it. He doesn't need all the extra gimmicks. He's a simple and efficient killer. But even though this guy lasted for a bit longer, and I'm not saying that to try and imply that Cell got out of there instantly. Like I said, it's still a bit early to judge his current situation, but it doesn't change the fact that they dropped a blue that is crazy right after. Super 17's timer was up until the anniversary, and even before then you could argue that his damage when he came off the boost just wasn't enough, so people stopped using him. But to make sure he got out the way, they dropped the craziest Legends Limited to headline the 6th anniversary. I have a full video planned talking about Super 17's whole situation. It's essentially a fall off video. If you are familiar with my channel, let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see that video, as I do want to produce it, as I already have the notes on it and whatnot. But we get into the 6th anniversary and we see Legends Limited fusing Super Vegito. Now, before getting into any details, the one thing I need to talk about is the fact that he came with that mechanic, and you guys know what I'm talking about, the guaranteed Rising Rush win. This is still something I can't fathom they fought to green light. The Rising Rush is meant to be your one sure way to make a comeback if you're losing, but even if you're winning, everybody gets access to it to do insane damage. And I think because of that, there's somewhat balance, but also imbalance. You can use it in high scenarios, or you could also use it in low scenarios to balance out the battlefield. So with using Super Vegito, when you Rising Rush, even if you get guessed, he's still gonna get off supreme impact damage. And that means in most cases, you're always gonna get the body. Especially at that time, nobody had the buff cancellation and endurance as consistently as they do now. But even with it being the case right now, fusing Super Vegito still guarantees at least a bar of health. So even if you got endurance, if you have the buff cancellation, indestructible, revival, that whole bar is getting wiped. And that's still insane to think about. So you can imagine a unit like Super 17 who only has buff cancellation, he doesn't have any survivability, so no endurance, he can heal a little bit but nothing crazy like that, and he doesn't have the best defenses. Fusing Super Vegito is his direct kryptonite. Being blue is already a big factor with type advantage, but not just that. Even if Super 17 managed to do crazy damage to fusing Super Vegito, fusing Super Vegito's healing potential is insane. Pre-transform, every tag switch, he's healing a lot, and if he doesn't want to tag switch anymore, that synchro mechanic is going to get him to full health. That's a big help. I also want to point out that fusing Super Vegito can get his vanish pretty fast. Every time he draws a card post transform, he'll be getting 10% to his vanish gauge, while his vanish gauge is also naturally filling. So he was just great to use then and even now because they brought him back on the boost. Naturally, every unit in the game was under this guy's pressure. The best unit in the game at the time of his release. So naturally, even if you wasn't red, you were at this guy's mercy. So being red just didn't help your case. So Super 17 off the boost, already defensively not the greatest, and not having a strong team to support him at the time, simply phased out quicker than ever. So if you invested in that guy, all your investments just went down the drain for a long period of time, to be honest. I'd say only post anniversary, maybe for a tiny bit, and just now because of Ultra Cell, that Super 17 is somewhat being used, but he's never made a strong return, especially in comparison to how high of a peak he had on his release. And the final unit I want to talk about in this video is Final Form Cooler. The irony in that name, his final appearance, honestly, he ain't come back since. This guy dropped, if I'm not mistaken, in 2023. And when he dropped, he was very menacing because he was able to counter the 4th anniversary Ultra Super Vegito. Ultra Super Vegito, one of the most balanced units of all time, didn't deserve this fate. Being yellow and Final Form Cooler being red, everybody thought, hey man, that's really unfair. But of course, the Fusion Warriors always get their praise, so there was also a lot of people that were very happy about the situation. But in my opinion, if anybody deserved that the least, it would be Ultra Super Vegito. Naturally, this Final Form Cooler guy drops, being red, being a hater of Super Saiyan. He's everything that Ultra Super Vegito would have a weakness towards, making Final Form Cooler the core problem in PvP at that time. Naturally, a lot of people began to realize this, and they wanted to pour their CC into Final Form Cooler, because if a unit was able to counter the 4th anniversary Ultra, naturally this unit is very valuable and it's very unlikely that they would get countered. Well, that's where everybody thought wrong. Straight after, we get Beast Gohan. At this time, the superhero movie had just released and people were expecting superhero units, but we didn't know how soon we were gonna get them. But right after they dropped Final Form Cooler, we get the Blue Beast Gohan, and everybody remembers that period of time. Even if you weren't playing at the time, you must have heard about it. Beast Gohan, Future Gohan, and Pan, they super juiced Beast Gohan, and PvP, you could play 100 games in a row and you would run into Beast Gohan, Pan, and Future Gohan every single time. This unit here terrorized PvP to the point there was no variation, no variety. Everybody was using the same thing because it was the only way you could get around in PvP, which made it very difficult to play the game. So as you can see, Beast Gohan controlled the whole game. But imagine being the #1 unit at that time, a red powerful opponent. You more than anybody got pushed into the ground, made completely unusable. The whole game got countered, but the king's gonna feel that pain the most, and that's the tragedy for Final Form Cooler. Hasn't made a return since, but what I will say is if they drop a Super Saiyan that's very oppressive and they Zenkai this guy or give him a plat right after, the game will return to that state, because Final Form Cooler with a few tweaks could easily be a top contender, especially with Ultra Golden Frieza existing and any other LOE buffs they want to slide into the game. Even on movies, he could be a very good asset. But boy, the way people spent their Chrono Crystals because they wanted Cooler and then Blue Beast, on top of the fact that Beast Gohan is just very popular. At that time, we didn't have a Beast Gohan in Dragon Ball Legends, so getting our first one was a very big deal. These red powerful opponents, they be going out sad, honestly. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I made the lights blue on purpose. I do want to keep using the blue lights, but specifically for this video, because these red POs keep going out sad, I had to put on the blue lights especially. But what I want to say, looking towards the future, I find that Legends has a history of repeating themselves. So they have a template in some cases, they just repeat it with different units and it works out almost the same way, but sometimes they do it better than others depending on a few things in the kits, because the player base, we're going to obviously piece things together better than they will because we play the game a lot more. I'd hope that isn't the case because they need to test the game, but this year they've been doing all right. But in the future, if I see a red powerful opponent, I am going to hesitate big time. So far with the track record, the only one I summoned for was Super 17, and out of all of these red powerful opponents so far, subpar Ultra Cell, because like I said, it's kind of early at the time I'm making this video, Super 17 lasted for a good amount of time, and for how OP he was worth it. You might want to say the same about Final Form Cooler, but there was no return after that Beast Gohan drop. So I guess we'll just have to see how time progresses in 2025 for Ultra Cell, but boy, it's dark for these red powerful opponents. I don't even summon for powerful opponents like that anyways. I just messed with Super 17 because he was the Battle Hour 2023? Yeah, reveal unit, and I was in LA for that, so I felt obliged to summon. Shout out the GT guys. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching the video, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.